What's up, YouTube? It's your boy GameBoy back with another video, man. Hey, man, you already know what I'm here for, man. You see the title. You know what I'm here for, bro. You already know we got my boy Sway Nami, man. If you don't know who Sway Nami is, he's a part of the Quince game, man. He's a Quince guy just like me. In the club, we all love Quince, you know what I'm saying? But he did another video about the honeymoon art, and we're just gonna get into his reaction. We're gonna get into it.
Honeymoons are meant to be a couple's best chapter yet, the ultimate payoff for all of the challenges and heartfelt moments a couple has gone through. But what if, instead of spending that time with your partner, you dedicate your getaway to a side quest with your siblings, a father-in-law you despise, and a total stranger who doesn't even speak your language? Well, that's exactly what happens in the Quintessential Quintuplet's new Afterstory specials, where hopes of a satisfying conclusion are crushed by forced comedic setups, rehashed conflicts, and two separate impersonation plots that completely undermine the series finale. But how did we get here? How did the show, once hailed as the wholesome harem, celebrated for its character growth in a genre full of fan service and flimsy female characters, fall into the very tropes it used to subvert? To figure out what went wrong, we must first dissect a concept anime fans love to hate: filler. While the term filler episode gets thrown around a lot, traditionally, filler episodes were created in the middle.
I often say they didn't have no filler episodes, did they? Not that I know of, unless it's like, no, they was all canon.
These episodes do not progress the main narrative, do not present any character development, and are solely made for the main characters to start and end in the same exact place. But why? Many classic anime series were released alongside their
Bleach has so many fillers, dog.
If the anime ever,
like, oh my gosh, bro, Bleach has so many fillers, bro. 2 seasons after the Rukia rescue, when Aizen became that dude, bro, it was 2 seasons of straight fillers, bro. I'm like, dog, I'm not here for that.
The manga or light novel, the show could either take an anime original path or create inconsequential episodes to fill the time. But since the Quintessential Quintuplets had already wrapped up its main narrative, shoehorning filler here feels especially out of place. It's simply ending on a chapter that doesn't matter, yet it still manages to get worse, because you can accomplish a filler episode in one of 2 main ways. Either create an unrelated side story that doesn't affect the main narrative, or regress your characters. Have them conveniently forget lessons taught in previous episodes, only to relearn them throughout the filler episodes. While many will argue that the unrelated side story is worse, I wholeheartedly disagree. While these side stories do not teach anything new, you still get to watch your favorite characters interact in a way that feels true to their nature. Good filler episodes still feel warranted because you get to see more of what you already love. On the other hand, if you choose to regress your characters, it undermines the episodes before it, and unless the character is prone to forgetfulness, it can feel wrong for them to go against a previous lesson by repeating the same mistakes. At that point, why did you bother watching the previous episode and going on that journey with them, only for them to learn nothing? It's like watching your favorite character learn to be courageous, only to see them cower in fear 1 episode later, as if none of that growth mattered. Which brings me back to the huge problem with the Quintessential Quintuplet's honeymoon arc. Not only did they choose to make the majority of the epilogue filler, but they decided to regress every single character, leaving them learning things that they already learned. Regressing characters during an Afterstory is especially jarring, because fans expected meaningful closure and ended up being forced to watch everyone backtrack on their hard-earned growth. It ends up undermining the events of the final movie, stripping the finale of its original impact. But why?
And you know what? He's not lying, bro. It's like, I've been telling people on TikTok, it's like the anime did no justice to this amazing manga, bro. It like, the manga is 10 out of 10 flawless, but the anime just did, like, it was everywhere, bro. It was everywhere. And like, you gotta think about people who don't read manga, it puts them behind too, because they don't know the full story, because the winner didn't get screen time in the anime, and you give the winner like a whole like episode, like an OVO to herself. But it's like, it's not on Crunchyroll, it's not on the mainstream anime shows and everything. You gotta go on a website with all them ads just to watch it. And now you make 2 episodes of filler and the honeymoon arc. We don't want that as the viewers, bro. Like, we don't want that. Like, we don't want that.
So frustrating. Well, it makes the honeymoon not end up being a honeymoon at all. Even on Futaro and Yotsuba's,
you know what's crazy? The video game that I seen, it had more of a honeymoon than the 2 episodes we got. It's crazy. That's crazy.
Vacation, it's revealed that each Quint is going through an individual issue. And while they sprinkle little hints as to what these issues are throughout the 2 episodes, I found almost every one of them to be incredibly distracting and sloppily done. While they didn't end the series as perfect people, the final movie left us with fully fleshed out independent quintuplets. They still had issues, but rather than hide behind their sisters or Futaro, each made the choice to forge their own career paths. Yet, now that they're on their honeymoon, every sister is reduced to the typical damsel in distress archetype, with their father asking Futaro to help clean up their acts. They're attempting to create a playful nod to the framing of the original series, where Futaro serves as both academic and emotional tutor, but it comes off as a slap in the face to longtime fans.
Yeah.
That's going to completely mess up the audio, but I did just kill a fly. The original narrative was built over 122 specially crafted chapters, where Futaro spent time with each of the girls, learning their likes, dislikes, and understanding what events led to where they were at the time. Most of the changes to their characters were done subtly and tastefully. Futaro never forced them to be something they weren't. Instead, he pushed them to be better and do the things they expressed interest in. But by reducing this nuanced dynamic to, well, Futaro's gotta fix him again, you've made their character arcs feel
you gotta fix him again.
You now know the changes shown throughout the series didn't make it past the wedding. Nino, who spent the entire series honing her communication skills, suddenly finds herself in 2 separate communication crises. Itsuki, who learned to not overwork and live for herself, is now overwhelmed by work and unable to stand up to her boss. And it's that same idea for every single Quint. Not only that, but Futaro's ultimate response to all of this, his genius solution to
switch them all around,
so baffling, so against everything he learned throughout the series. It's enough to make you question the entire journey. But before I get to that, this isn't even the first time a quintessential quintuplets Afterstory has disappointed me. Unfortunately, the special begins by adapting the Japanese exclusive quintessential quintuplets chapter I cannot stand. The long forgotten chapter 122.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that was just not necessary. I can't lie. I don't know why the author made that chapter, but I thought that chapter was like not really necessary.
Point 1. When the quintessential quintuplets final movie first aired in Japan, they distributed a special bonus to early movie theater goers. Volume
Must be nice.
14.5.
Must be nice.
Special celebration of the series. This chapter contained a short bonus after story. But given that this was a Japanese exclusive that never saw a wide release, it was very easy to disregard as something that didn't exist within the main series. But now that they've adapted it, let's see what really happens. The plot of this chapter, if you could call it that, is after having their swimsuits.
I ain't gonna lie, yeah. I'm not gonna lie, yeah. I'm finna fast forward this because, like, it's irrelevant to me. Like, it's irrelevant. Like the bra sizes, yeah, sisters, like it's irrelevant, bro. So I look, you might just skip that. If you don't know, I'm gonna tell you. If you don't know, basically, the sisters, they grow, they got older, and when you get older, you know what I'm saying. Can't say too much, but that's what it was.
for. Throughout the quintessential quintuplets, they played with the theme of dependence versus independence, asking when is it okay to rely on your family and friends for help, and when is it okay to be selfish as you defy expectations and become your own person. Because they lost their mother early, the sisters clung to an all-for-one mentality throughout their lives until Futaro arrived and helped them see the power of their differences. And as the series progressed, rather than think of themselves as 5 identical parts of one whole, they began to embrace what made each of them unique. Being different was no longer seen as a weakness, but a strength. That's why the bathing suit debate at the beginning of the episode was so stupid. After everything they learned about embracing their differences, opening with a panic over one swimsuit size being different is a huge step backwards. Though he was only hired as their academic tutor, Futaro became just as important on the emotional side, pushing them to embrace their identities rather than remain copies of one another. But while he did ask the sisters to help each other throughout the series, even suggesting that they switch places in desperate scenarios, this was reserved for the first half of the series. When Ichika pretended to be Miku to ruin her image towards the end, it marked a turning point where impersonation became harmful. It was seen purely as a selfish...
A lot of people have been asking me about how I feel about Ichika. Dog. I love Ichika. I love her. Like, I love her. I think I got her in my top 3. Yeah, I love her. I love her. Y'all gotta understand, bro. The entire first season, it was always Ichika pushing Miku towards Futaro. Ichika was out here throwing laws like these. She was gonna be like, throwing laws to Miku. Miku coming down like she really go bare and just, you know what I'm saying, missing, bro. Like, so up until season 2, they went on that little mountain trip, right? Their grandfather and all that. Yosuba told Ichika, yo, stop being selfish. Like, do what you gotta do. Don't worry about no one else. Like, do what makes you happy. So she did. And mind you, Miku and Ichika literally was going back and forth saying, like, yo, this is a challenge. Like, it's a challenge. Winner take all. Miku said that countless times, I'm not going to lose to you, Ichika. I'm not going to lose. I'm not going to lose. Ichika said, okay, let's go then. She took that challenge. It backfired. It backfired completely bad. But you gotta understand though, bro. I'm not mad at Ichika for that, to be honest. The only thing I'm mad at Ichika for, I really can't be mad at her because it was kids. She's the reason Yosuba wears the ribbon on top of her head. She's the reason. If you don't know, do your research. But other than that, great sister, bro. Older sister, man. Like, she always looked out for all her sisters, bro. She's the reason that they got that small apartment in the first place and moved out of their dad's apartment or the condo. She was always there for them, like being a W sister, pushing them on. She was also there for Futaro, like when him, Ubusugi and Ichika was getting into it. Ichika was like, yo, just take your time. Y'all more than the light than you think y'all are. You know, she's hard-headed, but, you know, she'll come around. And who this is the last time I'm going to go back to the video. Who was the one that set up Miku and Nino so Nino can help Miku make chocolate for Futaro? Who was that? Big sis Ichika. She said, No, what I'm saying, like, stop playing with Ichika, bro. Y'all just haters, man.
Act of sabotage.
Come on now.
The whole point of the series was that while the quints could rely on each other for help, they still ultimately needed to be their own people. And throughout the quintessential quintuplets, Futaro learns about each sister's unique quirks, slowly being able to pick out the otherwise identical girls just by their mannerisms, so that by the finale, each of them is seen as unique and irreplaceable. all that careful growth seemed as if it was a permanent change, until the special turned everything on its head. So what happened in the special? Rather than focus on the characters we actually care about, they decide to introduce a new character.
Yeah, we don't care about.
A young girl who needs help confessing to her Japanese crush. What's the catch? While only speaking English, she enlists Nino to help her, whose English is shaky at best. But because Nino is now suddenly unable to communicate, and she does not want to disappoint some girl she just met during her sister's honeymoon, she and Itsuki instead decide to rope in the happy couple and the rest of the gang to help Lily confess to her crush. To state the obvious, this is an incredibly weird and convoluted arc for a honeymoon. This is meant to be Futaro and Yotsuba's special time, but since their dad, who also happens to be there, asks the new groom to help, Futaro accepts one final job as family tutor. And after being drugged for the third time by this family, you'd really think he learned his lesson at this point. Operation
Hey bro, in the episode, this man Uesugi chugged the wine. That's it. No. Health more. This time, drink slowly. Hey bro, that dad messed up for that, bro.
5 siblings exchange commences. To Nino's credit, when she's presented with the idea, she does state that because she started this, she wants to see what she can do first. However, as most Quint's antics go, there's a few hiccups, and every girl has a chance to serve as Nino's replacement as they help Lily gain the courage to ask out her crush. Honestly, while this is an incredibly dumb plot for the honeymoon episode, it does work as a general quintuplets plot. While they were all cosplaying as Nino, they were able to show off their individual strengths and weaknesses. For example, since Ichika is now a popular movie star, she's able to help Lily's style, but ultimately gets recognized too quickly and has to leave. Itsuki then swaps in and gets to eat food while flexing her English, only to be forced to retreat when her work as a teacher.
Like, why my boss calling her like, bro, I'm on vacation with my sister, bro. Like, get on my phone.
But struggles to convey her feelings, and so on. All of these make sense and are generally true to character, but having these silly antics serve as the conclusion to the series comes off as sloppy and forced. Given that each girl struggled to convey their feelings at one point or another, having them then help a young girl with her confession is a good idea on the surface, but comes off as hollow in execution. However, the real problem comes in at the very end, when Futaro comes up with a solution to each of those individual struggles. Because yes, in case you forgot, each Quint was also presented with their own struggle throughout the 2 episodes, with the main issue being Futaro's solution is not actually a solution. Just as they played sibling swap for a little girl, he wants them to pretend to be each other at their real life jobs. And since each of their issues align with another girl's strengths, it's the perfect fit. Itsuki needs Ichika's charm, Ichika needs Yotsuba's athleticism, Yotsuba needs Miku's temperament, Miku needs Nino's culinary skills, and Nino needs Itsuki's English. Again, this general plot could have worked in an earlier episode, but it would have come with a different lesson. Things would inevitably go wrong, and they would learn that they can't just act as each other's replacements. And Futaro already knows this because it was one of the last things shown in the finale. Before he marries Yotsuba, Futaro is given one final test. He must identify his bride when all 5 sisters are dressed identically. This is a task he has struggled with throughout the series, so if he can find his wife here, it will show he truly loves and understands her. And sure enough, not only is he able to find Yotsuba, but he's able to call out each and every one of them. It's a cute yet gut-wrenching moment showing showing that while he's marrying Yotsuba, he's come to love each of them individually, up to their most minor of quirks. So at this point in the series, he should never suggest one, much less two separate sibling swap operations. It's as if he hasn't learned a thing. 5 of you should be able to accomplish what one cannot is a terrible lesson for the final episode, because a major point of this series was to help remove the Quint's all-for-one stigma. But according to Futaro now, they're right back to being interchangeable, including his own wife. Yotsuba's issue was specifically that she was nervous about meeting his grandparents.
Which was crazy, because like you don't like, I don't know, bro. Like when I went into the honeymoon arc and I saw it was only 2 episodes, I'm like, okay, I treat this as filler. Like, and I was also telling my comments that on TikTok, I'm like, bro, when you watch the honeymoon arc, do not go into it as a continuation from the anime. Think of it as a filler or OVO, because that's exactly what it was. And it was like, okay, I guess, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed it, but it was just like, I don't know, man.
Suggestion to sub in Miku for his own wife so she makes a good impression is absolutely insane. At that point, you should have just married Miku instead. So I'm not saying that Miku Gang was right all along.
Oh my gosh, bro, we don't care about Miku. Oh my gosh, bro. She had her moment at the last episode, season 2, before the movie. She pointed at Buddy and said, I love you, but she said, no, my sisters. That's her fault. We don't care. By the way, he's a Miku fan.
This definitely does not help Yotsuba's case. It's actually ridiculous. But thankfully, while Futaro completely fumbles here, the quintuplets ultimately go against him and decide to work through their issues themselves. It's a nice bookend to an otherwise unnecessary side plot. They all choose to face their own problems head on, but it should never have gotten that close to a sibling swap in the first place. It would have had much more impact if, after spending the day cosplaying as Nino, they simply came to this conclusion without his input. And Futaro, not even needing to intervene, would see his tutoring job as being complete, and he could freely focus all of his energy on his wife instead. While he does still learn this incredibly obvious lesson, it's put as a post-credit scene. And just as the last special was a sloppy cut of scenes that ended with a great moment, the epilogue to this epilogue is its one redeeming part. In stark contrast to the chaos of the rest of the episode, it's a simple yet expertly crafted scene. Having realized he focused too much on the rest of the quintuplets, Futaro presents Yotsuba with a choice of 2 handmade souvenirs. And unlike the 5 equal gifts made earlier, this would be her special souvenir. However, rather than make the choice between the 2, she takes both, signaling to Futaro and the audience that she's finally learned to be just a bit more selfish. Thank you. It is so basic in its messaging, but it's the perfect final end to this story. Futaro learns to honor his wife above the other quints, and Yotsuba learns to speak up for herself. If that 67-second scene was the only scene given to us in the specials, I still would have been satisfied. While it's not some crazy revelation, it serves as a cute epilogue to the final movie, respecting the series and highlighting just how much both characters have grown. So, if the honeymoon arc somehow makes it to the States, just watch that. That's it, because the epilogue is the only part truly worth watching. And with that, I keep saying I am done with this series, and they keep just pulling me back. So for now...
Hey, that's true, bro. Like I said, chat, I don't know, bro. Like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the little 2 episodes, but once again, the anime, it just didn't do Yotsuba no justice, bro. I promise you, every time I go on TikTok on my comment section, I'm like, bro, I'm a Nino fan myself. I love Nino. But Yotsuba winning was the right choice. And people keep saying, but she didn't have no screen time. She didn't even like him. I'm like, bro, read the manga. It's in your face. It's quite literally in your face. It's in your face. Watch the OVO. But they can't watch the OVO because guess what? It's not on Crunchyroll. They gotta go on a legal website with all them ads off in their face just to watch the OVO, not in dub. You know, and people just not gonna do all that, bro. They're not gonna do all that. So once again, I tell y'all, if you want to watch this anime, please read the manga first, then watch the anime. Cause I promise you, you're not gonna get a lot out of the anime. Like when I first watched it, I got a lot out of it, but I wanted more. I'm like, bro, I have to know more. So I read the manga. I said, oh, the manga is really better than the anime. But that's all, folks. Make sure y'all sub to Swaynami. I hope I'm saying his name right. Swaynami. Go follow the TikTok and subscribe to the channel. See y'all later.